Yes, we're laughing because it's funny. You guys got to see what happens before I hit
Uh,
record. Welcome, everybody. I'm John,
I'm Richard.
and this is Bronze and Modern Gods. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Give us a like, hit subscribe, support the show. We are well into our first month of memberships. What does being a member mean? Well, it means for the cost of just $2.99 a month, less than a Starbucks. You get exclusive member-only live streams every Friday, extra show and tell episodes, usually on Wednesday, shout outs and future videos. In fact, look at all these people right here. See those names? Shout out to all of you for being members. I'm going to vamp a little bit more because I know everybody wants to read their name and see it. Okay. This helps Richard and I buy new equipment like new lighting and things like that. All you got to do is if you're on YouTube, look below and right next to the subscribe button, it says join. If you don't see it on your phone, you got to go to a desktop. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks, Apple. Thanks, Android. And just hit that link. Richard.
I was waiting for you to thank one more person.
Oh, who?
You always say thanks, Obama.
Oh, thanks, Obama. Sorry, I forgot my own running joke. I was going to say thanks, Elon. Richard, you're shelling, you're hawking some wares as well, right?
Yep. I have a store called cornerboxed.com, and I sell corner boxes, just different pieces of artwork related to the comic book cover. I also have expanded the field to selling mugs, so I'm selling customized mugs here. This one says Richard likes his coffee cream to off-white.
Get it?
Yeah, it was funny. And this has been really popular. This is the not approved by the Comics Code Authority. And I could customize this with your name as well. So we do customized mugs and the corner boxes, and it's holiday season. If you're looking for a holiday gift or if you're looking for something for yourself, stop by cornerbox.com and see what we have.
That's cornerboxed, BOXED at the end there, .com. Richard, maybe you make one of those mugs that says, Hey Kids Comics with the old Hey Kids Comics.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Okay, 10% commission on each. All right, let's move over to show and tell. I jumped the gun, Richard.
Why?
I went to show and tell before doing our hot book of the week. You think that maybe we've been doing this for 4+ years at this point, and I would know what the heck I'm doing.
I didn't catch it, so
I did. Hot book of the week this week. A good one. The Sandman #1 from 1989. It's good to see this back on collectors' radar after some time, because it's not only still undervalued in my opinion, because it's the first appearance of the new Sandman, but it was announced this week that the second season of the Netflix show has resumed filming. Thanks, a writer's strike. Thanks, Obama.
Have you watched that show?
Of course, I watched the whole thing. I was really excited. I think it was great. I think the Corinthian was fantastic. I think the kitty cat episode tugged at my heartstrings. You never watched that, did you?
No. I couldn't get past when he was killing the little dragon dude.
You gotta see it, Richard. It all ends up okay.
Bleeding heart. Yeah, I know. That's what people tell me. I need to go back. The first episode was excellent. It was really good. So
you should get it. Do you have a Sandman #1?
I do not. I have a run of Sandman, but not #1 or #8.
You can still grab a high grade raw off eBay for about $150 this week. That 90-day average for a CGC 9.8 is $617, which sounds expensive until you realize that is way down from its height of $1,160 in 2021. So it's almost been halved. Whop, like that.
What would you rather have, a #1 or a #8? The first death.
First death? Gosh, I want them all. I want it all. Why do I have to choose? Why choose, Richard?
Oh, this is because it's a thought experiment.
Sophie's choice. Okay, I'm going to take a #1. I think a #1 is, for some reason, I think #1's harder in 9.8. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the data, but I had a couple #1s send them in, and they all came back 9.6s. I have never successfully gotten a 9.8 of Sandman.
It's a horrible cover. I mean, in terms of trying to get it flawless.
Yeah, and it was, a Vertigo book, and nobody was thinking, "Oh, this is gonna be a TV show one day on a platform that is, uh, delivered via fiber optic cable called the internet."
People are going to dial up and let's put their modems on to be able to watch. Ah, there's no way.
But no, I have not ever had a 9.8 of that. I've had a 9.8 of a number 8, but not a number 1.
Okay.
Might just be my luck. But hey, let's move over now for real, for sure. Show and tell. I I can start with a book that I didn't realize how good this book was until I started doing a little research for the show today. It's My Own Romance, number 74. Oh, look at those big word balloons again. Love
Oh,
them.
yes. Yes.
Marvel.
Those early Marvel word balloons with the borders. Yeah.
I believe it's 1960. Richard, this cover is credited to Dick Giordano and Vince Coletta. However, inside this one single issue, a Matt Baker story, a
Wow.
J. Scott Pike story, and a Jack Kirby story. All three in
Wow.
this one issue of My Own Romance, number 74. There's even a story in here that is continued in the next issue.
Hmm.
What? Crazy.
Yeah.
It's a decent one. Just some slight Marvel chipping.
Yes, Marvel at its best. Yeah. Um,
uh,
have you read it? Have you read the Matt
yeah,
Baker?
I
Yeah.
have. I have. It's kind of buried under here. I'll show you. It's kind of buried, I think, under the inks, but it's very much a Matt Baker. The Jack Kirby story, along with all the other Jack Kirby romance stories, was recently reprinted in the hardback. Um, but there's like some Baker stuff. This book is so fragile. I'm
Mm,
trying my best to show it to you without it falling apart in my hands.
that's
But
okay.
yeah, it looks like, Baker pencils, but definitely Vinnie Coletta all over it, just kind of
Mm,
watering it down a bit.
yeah.
And there's a swimsuit shot for you. Here, there you go. It's very, very modest. But yeah, you can barely tell it's Baker. The J. Scott Pike definitely is J. Scott Pike. Um, and the Kirby is beyond Kirby. I like this one J. Scott Pike panel at the bottom with her face.
Yeah.
He looks naughty.
Yeah, it's amazing how an inker can really change the look, the feel of a penciler's work.
Very much so. The Kirby one, I can't tell who inked this. No one signed it. It looks like it might be Coletta, but I'm not sure. It's very, I
Mm.
can't get it in the camera there. I'm not sure who inked this. I have to go look on the Grand Comics database. But it's a lot of Kirby headshots.
Mhm.
So, what's your first book for viewer mail? Or
Uh,
sorry, for show and tell.
for
I'm
viewer
on top today.
okay, this is a book that I have had in my collection since I restarted um, into
Oh
comics.
wow, bringing out the big guns.
Yeah, Giant Size X-Men number 1. It's a 6.0. This is the first book I ever cleaned and pressed and submitted to CGC. I bought it for I remember $900, which is a fortune for I'm used to paying cover price for comics. Come back into the hobby, and now I want the books I want are all 3 figures, 4 figures. So I paid $900 for this book. Probably overpaid even at the time. And it had pencil all over the cover, like writing. And I took a white eraser and I cleaned that up and use the talc powder and cleaned up the front, and the back is pretty nice.
So the
And
first book you cleaned and pressed was a square bound.
yeah, I went all in. I went all in. Came back a 6, and I was pretty happy with that. I can't even imagine what the grade would have been if I hadn't cleaned it, because the marking on the cover was enough to pull it down, in my opinion, a grade. So yeah, this is the first book I have a very very strong sentimental attachment to this book, because it got me. This came back graded, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Getting books graded is a cool thing. And then I started looking for other books to get graded. So
Turn the back again. Let me see the back. Is it miscut along that side? Yeah, a little bit of a
Down that
miscut
corner.
there.
Oh, this is
No,
a sh
to
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. If you can look, you
that's
can see the back cover is not square.
right.
Um, and I had, I suffered. If you look at the front, it is definitely miscut. If you look at
Yeah.
the side, right on this side, backwards here. This is all miscut. You can see at an angle, and I had a fear that it was going to be trimmed because
No,
of.
that's a common thing with some
Mhm.
of these Marvels that,
So
it
yeah.
happens. It happens. Wow, look at you being all brave, sending a giant size X-Men in the first time you press a book.
$900, the first book I ever sent in. Yeah, it was kind of a scary moment, but it all paid off. I guess if you keep
First
on.
book I ever pressed was a Whitman Mickey Mouse to press. I got from a dollar bin. This did not come from a dollar bin. It is Men's Adventures, number 27. This at this point, Men's Adventures went from featuring gorillas kidnapping your grandpa to featuring the big timely three: Human Torch, Submariner, and Captain America. Great Carl Burgos Human Torch cover. The man who created the Human Torch, drawing the cover. However, inside these stories are by Dick Ayers, who drew the Human Torch story. Cap is drawn by Mort Lawrence instead of John Romita Sr. And Bob Powell did the Submariner story instead of Bill Everett, which is a bummer because I buy these books for the Romita and the Everett art, and I got this. And I was like, wait a second. Of course, issue 28, the last issue, it's all Romita, Everett, and
Mhm.
Dick Ayers. But it's a really structurally, it's a beautiful book, 6'5" or so. But there is a wormhole right
Ooh,
here where a worm ate a circle right through the entire book,
oh, through the whole book?
through the whole book. You can't see it from the front because he went in at an angle. Thanks, worm.
Mhm.
But if you look at the back, peekaboo, I see you.
Wow, it looks like a bullet hole. You sure somebody didn't,
No, it's a definitely a worm. You can see how in the front he kind of went in this way at an angle.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a really nice book. I don't think I'm going to experiment with hop or anything on this. I think it is what it is, thanks to that wormhole there.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
my Men's Adventures run is getting close.
awesome. My next book is a fun book. I never pass these by, and I bought this book. This is, the I can't even remember the Marvel Tales #1. And it's basically reprints of a number of famous Marvel titles. And this came out in 1964, so you get all the really good stuff: early Spider-Man, early Hulk, early Iron Man. You got Nick Fury there, Thor, and they're just reprints of the original stories. And it's just a compilation. It's nothing really special, but I remember when I was a kid reading this and getting a taste for a variety of different titles and stories. The same art, the paper quality was the same. It's a great way of reading those original stories. And the back of it has the ubiquitous toy soldier advertisement, which also as a kid I lusted after these little toy soldiers. Never got any, unfulfilled.
Wow, when did you get that?
I've had this for a while. It's only a 2.0. I think I paid $60 for it.
Did
Yeah.
you buy it slabbed?
Yep.
Because you can, again, I'm looking at it. There's a lot to fix on that
Oh yeah.
book.
Oh, if you could look at the cover, I'm trying to get it in the
Yeah, you
light.
can see the wrinkles.
Yeah, it is a wrinkle bomb. It definitely can get a grade bump, but it's got significant tape on the spine,
Yeah,
so I
and
don't know if I could. Hmm?
I see some ink at the bottom corner of the coupon. There you go. See
Yeah.
that big,
So
like a marker?
yeah, I think the best I'm going to get is a 2.5 out of it anyway.
Yeah.
So why crack and repress?
I
So
love Marvel Tales #1. I would buy every copy if I could.
yeah, yeah. I always
Keep
I
'em
always
nice.
when I see them raw, I buy them because you can get them cheap. They're not,
Yeah.
and they're a great way of reading those stories.
So I'm going to take it back to 1968, the year
Okay,
one of us was born.
I was 4 years old.
Haha, so it wasn't you. Um, and the most popular, one of the most popular singing groups, well, they're kind of on the downslope at that point, were the Monkees, who had
Mhm.
owned 1967 in the music industry. And their TV show was still on the air, and DC decided to launch their own version of the Monkees in a comic and showcase number 68 with the Maniacs.
Oh, wow.
See, you've got your Davy Jones and your Peter Torkey there, and you got a female in this group, and then you've got the smart one, the Nesmith there. Now here's the plan
Does
when
a
they're
Peter Tork
fighting.
yeah,
Yep.
cool.
So the
How many
Maniac,
issues?
I think Maniacs only ran twice in Showcase. I don't think they never got spun off to their own book, but this is a beautiful, I mean, gorgeous copy. It's at least a 9.2, maybe a 9.4. I should send this in. Uh, being the big Monkeys fan I am, and then you have the DC Go-Go checks too across the top.
Yeah.
Being the big Monkeys fan I am, I'm surprised I have not sent this in. Is this 68? Did I get the year right? Let's find out together, everyone. Wow, this is really nice. Uh, it is 67. So this is when the Monkees were at their height.
Mhm.
So
And
there you go.
DC decided to cash in.
Yeah, I'll let you see this without the bag.
Wow, that is really nice.
And while you're at it, you can buy your Rat Patrol model kit from Aurora
I love the Rat Patrol. That was a great TV show.
for $1.98. What a ripoff.
Oh, it was raw and gritty. It was a great show.
Exactly. What else you got?
Okay, here's a weird one. I don't even remember where I came across this. This is a preview issue for display only of Static Shock. I don't even remember what issue number is this.
I'm guessing number one, because that's
No,
what they used to send retailers.
yeah, I'm gonna take it out of the.
As a former retailer around that time, we used to get stacks of those and throw them away. Ugh.
You got a preview cover. Inside, you've got a please buy this.
Yeah,
Cover.
order this, please. Mr.
uh,
Retail.
this is number 16.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in black and white. So it gives you the original book, so that the no empty word bubbles too, which I
It
thought
was still in production. They used to do that a lot. They would just throw those little ash can type previews in with your order. It was basically like, please order this. This book's dying.
hmm Well, it went to 45, so it lasted a bit.
Yep.
But I came across this. I came across this inexpensively, and I thought it was a pretty neat curio, because I've never seen one of these preview books before.
Look at the credits. Not one of those people, I think, is still around in comics.
Oh wow!
Robert L. Washington III, penciled by
Mhm,
Wilfred, inked by Robert. If that's not a typo, it's supposed to be Robert. Uh,
mhm.
Quijano. Wow. 94. That was post crash. So
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's hurting at that point.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. This is one of the few, we call them ash cans, that I have
Where'd you
in the
get
collection. I honestly don't remember. I think I got it. There's a friend of mine named Tom who sells comics every now and then, and he gets some really oddball stuff in. And I think I bought it for him for like cheap, $20, $30, something like that.
nice. Well, I have a modern book. Brace yourself, everybody.
Uh,
Well, modern. I think it's 2 or 3 years old at this point, and you'll see why I bought it. It is Amazing Spider-Man number 75, whatever volume we're on
yeah, I
now. Uh,
track. Yeah.
the legacy numberings in the 700s, but this is the Steve Ditko 1 in 50 variant.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You can see what I paid for it back in the
Mhm,
day. Still, I have not changed the bag. But yeah, just a gorgeous ASM Steve Ditko cover. I
mhm,
saw it in the window and I had to have it.
mhm. Wow, his anatomy is almost right. I'm impressed.
It's not quite Frank Robbins level with the rubber legs.
No, but it's
It,
close.
it's close. But I've had this forever, and I had to buy it. I don't know
Mm.
why. I don't read Spider-Man anymore, but this just it the
Oh, it's
webbing
it's
under the arms
I love that classic suit. The webbing always intrigued me.
from your pal
I
Spider-Man.
how did he know that he needed webbing under the arms when he drew the character?
I don't know. It was weird. The whole design is of the costume is just so out of the box and unprecedented that it's a reason why you can't replace it, no matter how hard you try. Black costume.
Right.
Um, so what else you got? What's the last one?
Last one. This is a real personal book. Um, it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #2. This is the second Teenage Ninja Turtle books, obviously. This is my original copy I bought back in 1985, I think it was. I bought it off of the newsstand from the vendor. I was looking real quick to see if it had a year in it.
Probably 84, I would guess.
Maybe 84. This book survived the flood of, gosh, I don't remember what happened. I had stored a bunch of comics in the basement of the house I was living in, across next door to my grandmother, and I moved out. A number of years later, there was a flood in that basement, and
Mm.
everything in the basement was destroyed. All the comics, everything, with the exception of 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This paper quality is crap. You would think if there was moisture, this book
Right.
would be affected by it because the paper is just abysmal. Now the book did suffer damage. It has rusty staples, as you can
Mhm.
see right there. So it did
Slightly rusted.
just a little bit. Didn't survive unscathed in the corner, the bottom corner. You
Yeah.
see it's missing here. But this is I remember buying this book. I have distinct memories of picking this book up and reading it, and because this is the first book of the Turtles that was available. Number one, it had sold out. The guy I was buying comics from didn't have any copies to give me, so he says you really should read this book, and he gave me a copy of number two, and fell in love with the Turtles from there on. So this book has sentimental value. It probably has very little material value because of the damage to it. But little me back in the day, and eyeballs touched these same pages. So this book is
Yeah.
a part of my collection.
Wow, that's excellent. Was it laying in the basement next to my Ministry with Sympathy CD that you
It was.
borrowed?
It was. Unfortunately, it was damaged irrevocably.
How dare you? Actually, CDs hadn't been invented yet, or they were invented, but they weren't available yet. All right, let's move on to everybody's favorite segment. I'm assuming it's called Viewer Mail.
You've got mail.
And my first piece of viewer mail comes to us from David on Instagram, who writes, I was moving and I was in a huge rush. I'd spent about a week calling around to every bank in the area trying to find a safety deposit box, but nobody had any available. Instead of leaving my strong boxes at a family or a friend's house, somehow I convinced myself they would be okay in my storage unit. I figured that considering I'd get collectibles insurance the following weekend, that I would probably be okay. Big mistake. They broke in and cleaned me out within the first 3 days.
That's horrible.
Do you all have any tips on handling such incidents? I'd love to hear a discussion on collectibles insurance. I'm assuming you all have shopped around and found good plans. Would you all be interested in talking about insurance plans and providers for a few minutes sometimes? I'd love to tune in. Otherwise, can you suggest any references? It's been frustrating to navigate. Regards, David. David, first of all, storage units. No, 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 no. Underline, no, no, no. Bold type, no. You've learned the lesson the hard way. Everyone else learned from David. You're working with the cops. I read the rest of your DMs. I don't know if there's anything you could do. You let the other surrounding stores know. If you have an inventory list, provide that to all the stores. But this is one of those hard lessons you got to learn, I suppose. It sucks. I don't know your situation. It's usually an inside job with these storage unit facilities. Or sometimes homeless people are living in the storage units and they wait until nighttime and they come out and they start trying to break in. Richard Christie from the Howard Stern Show lived in a storage unit for the longest time. According to, yeah. Sorry, all you fellow Howard fans know what I'm talking about. Collectibles insurance. Richard and I talk about it a lot. Have we pulled the trigger? Nope.
No, it's embarrassing. It really is.
Am I going to now? Me in particular in Southern California, absolutely, because we've had a lot of home invasions. We've had a lot of uptick in crime activity around here. We live in a good neighborhood. We live in a very nosy neighborhood. We have really good nosy neighbors that are always looking at our house, which is awesome in terms of security. It sucks when you just want to go outside and get your mail and you get cornered for an hour and a half. My neighbors. Um, I have done some research. There's collectinsure.com. There's americancollectors.com. There's the Chubb Corporation offers collectible insurance. USAA offers collectors insurance. I'm going to put links. Yeah, I'm going to put links to all these in the description. I'm shopping around myself, David, so we should compare notes. Richard?
Yeah, I also checked with State Farm, who is my normal insurance broker agent, and would they would insure the collection, but they have a cap on the amount and would require an inventory list, which both of those are really just kind of no goes for a comic book collection. So yeah, I would recommend following up with one of the companies John mentioned. I think it's really important, especially as well, you've got two situations. Either the value of your comics are exceed $1,000, which is easy to do, and it would be difficult to replace, or the comics are sentimental values. They're a comic book collection that your father gave you, or has some other important value that would be almost impossible to replace. In those situations, I definitely recommend you that you get insurance. Um, I say that, and I'm bad and haven't done it myself, and that's really on me.
We are at this point hypocrites. I think I am going to resolve that this week. I did get a quote.
Hmm.
Um,
I did.
I'm go ahead.
Oh no, I did too. I got a quote of about $500 a year
Yeah.
to
That
insure my collection.
that about is what I got, which, amortized over 12 months is really affordable. It's kind of like earthquake insurance here. You kind of have to have it in addition to your regular insurance. But David, thanks for letting us know what happened, because it did put the fear of God into me, and
Mhm.
I'm going to take care of it right after Richard's first piece of viewer mail.
My first piece of viewer mail is from John Doe 297.
A member. See
A
that
member.
little badge by
Oh
his
yeah,
name? That means
awesome.
he's a member. Hi, member.
I think one extra feature CBCS should offer could be geared towards signatures on the inside pages. They could verify the signature and then put an image of the signature on the back of the label so people could see what this signature looks like, even if graded. I absolutely love this
Wow.
idea. It-
Yeah.
that is such an awesome idea. It would take so little to implement. Um, and we were talking about differentiators, what CBCS could do to differentiate them from CGC. This is an absolute excellent idea, and could really, really make the thing stand out. I have a couple books that have, my Miracle Man #1 was signed by Alan Moore on the inside cover. It says, um, signed in pen on the inside cover with his name, and it was also numbered because I got it graded by CGC. If I could get that same book graded by CBCS, get a valid signature uh, category for the grade, and also have a copy of the signature on the back of the cover, it would be a no-brainer and who I
Yeah.
would be sending in all my signed books to.
Nice. That's a really good idea, John Doe. Our members are smart.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
all our viewers are smart. My next piece of viewer mail proves that. It's Roscoe7878, who writes in reference to our talk about the rumors about a female Silver Surfer coming up. Um, Given that it's hardly surprising comic book fans want to see the Silver Surfer brought faithfully to the screen, the quote, fragile masculinity quote slur made little sense. Other
mhm.
than that low point, I enjoyed the show as usual. Roscoe, you're referring to when I was talking about the story, I made some flippant comment about how a lot of people are complaining about it. Is it fragile masculinity? And you brought that up correctly. I think it is different. I think this is a different case than people just complaining about, gender swapping or being sexist or misogynistic. You're right. And that was really flippant to kind of paint everybody with that comment. And I apologize. How's that? I'm not fragile enough to admit when I'm probably wrong. And I do see you, and I think our good friend Rumple Foreskin also brought it up, that it's not really saying a woman. It's more like look, do that later if you got to do it. Let's introduce the character the way people love him first. And I do see that. So there you go.
No, yeah, I am in favor of introducing the real Silver Surfer first, if you want to say it that way, and then maybe have permutations, different variations of the Surfer and heralds in the future. You got to introduce the concept of what a herald is, um, and then you can play around with it. I think there's a lot of room to be able to play around with, but I'm tired of Marvel pulling out, leaving their first string behind. I think it's time for them to step up and put the characters that the people are expecting to be in the roles, and putting them on the silver screen, and then kind of rebuying the cachet they had, in the beginning. And then once you've rebuilt that following, and then you could play around and experiment and move in that direction. I just want to see the comic books that I've read in my childhood reenacted on the screen.
And my crack was really a gut reaction to the reception that, like, the Marvels has gotten and She-Hulk. But this is different. You're right, Roscoe. So thanks for calling me out on it. What's your next piece of your mail?
My next piece is from Peyton Ardoin 688. I apologize if I've mutilated your name. And Peyton says, speaking of doing things differently in grading and slabs, has anyone mentioned the completely customizable colored labels of EGS? I personally don't use their service, but the colored labels look great with rich colored covers, especially with modern and virgin covers. Just saying, it's an option if you really want something different. And yeah, I mean, I have to say, EGS, who is a grading house that doesn't have the same kind of name value as CBCS or CGC or even PGX, I'm sorry to say, they do some really cool things with their labels. They have a variety of different colors. You can have it customized in different ways, and I think that's really cool. I think it adds value for people who are looking to get their books slabbed for their personal collection. The only problem I see with the various colors is it kind of limits what the market is for resale. I mean, if you like a bright purple and yellow cover, or label with your comic, and that just really shows it off to you, you may find a limited market for people who want to buy a purple and yellow label. It's one of the things you have to take into account. But if it's something for your personal collection, absolutely, crazy, go nuts. Pick a color combination that goes with the colors. I've seen some of the combos that they've come out with, and they really are striking and they're beautiful. But it all matters to personal taste, and you have to accept that your taste may not be what other people's tastes are.
Uh, I'm a little concerned about that. Let's look at the Star Trek #1 example here. Uh, Someone picked purple gradient into black with the Star Trek cover that's more of an orange. It doesn't really match. It kind of clashes. So there's one problem. The second thing is it says EGS Signature Series.
Mhm.
Who signed it? Is
It's a good
there a
question.
is there a note on the label telling you who signed it? Is it on the back of the label? I don't see it on the front. And then I'm not being a snitch, because snitches get stitches. I understand that. But I'm sure Paramount Studios did not approve the use of the Enterprise and the Starfleet logo insignia on your
Mhm.
label there, EGS. I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm not narking on you, but you might want to be careful there.
Yeah, I don't know. The color, like I said, the color combinations is something that, if it's your personal stash, then that's great. But you don't sound like this appeals to you because of the purple and black label. It's you know
It just doesn't go with the orangey Star Trek book.
it doesn't. Neither does the
Although
you can
I'm
argue
looking at
that
your
the
shirt. Sorry, I'm looking at your shirt right now. And the Star Wars logo is literally those two colors. So who knows what I'm talking about?
yeah, I mean, you can argue that the blue of CGC label doesn't go with that combination either.
That's true. That's true.
It boils down to personal taste, and I applaud EGS for giving people the option and giving them the ability to choose something that matches what they want, which is I think is a cool and innovative idea.
As someone who has his many, many problems with CGC, especially now, I welcome competition. Just be careful with that IP, you guys. I don't want to see you get in trouble. My next piece of viewer mail comes from Poochman, who writes, "We need pics of 18-year-old John and Richard. Who agrees?" You know, Poochman, I saw this comment and I texted Richard earlier this week, and I thought this was true, and Richard confirmed it. We have no pictures of each other together like that.
Not that
Not
far back.
one. I don't have one. I went through my photo albums. I don't have one picture of us together because you know why? Richard and I were busy living life. We were out there. We weren't like you kids with your Instagrams and your TikToks and your hula hoops and rock and roll.
Oh, I remember back then you couldn't take a picture and have it end up in your iCloud that you could pull it out 20 years later. You had to
I like
take a picture, you have it developed, and then put it in a shoebox.
I like my rant better than you know. Hey, we had photo mats where you could drive through and drop off that roll of film. Oh my God, what was wrong with us?
Yeah.
I wish I had more. I don't have. Yeah, the truth is, Poochman, I don't have a lot of pictures of me from the age of 15 to about 24. I was not interested in being on camera, I guess, and I just was out, living life, being in the army and going to concerts and stuff. And I wish we had stuck cameras into a lot of the concerts Richard and I got to see because
Oh
we got to
yeah.
see some cool people.
Yeah. Yeah, we had fun. Some of the bands that came to our area were just it was just great shows, you know.
I mean, did any of you guys out there get to see the Smiths in 1985 on the Queen is Dead tour? We did.
Mhm.
We weren't allowed to bring cameras in. Now I see people, the iPhones are up during the show, recording the entire show. It's online instantly. And I'm like, we weren't even allowed to bring in an Instamatic. It is not time for a segue to the old fart rule because you have one more piece of viewer mail.
My last piece of viewer mail is from our Bronze and Modern Gods email from Brian. I hope all is well with both of you. Richard, I just wanted to tell you that your purchase of the All Negro Comics 1 CGC.5 is messing me up, man. I have a friend who is thinking about selling me one of his lower grade copies. One of his. Yes, he has more than one copy. But because of the last sale to you for $4,010, it has basically set the market for low grade copies. He is probably a 1.0 complete copy. So now I'm not sure, but we're looking at a substantial rise in price. I'm happy for you, Richard, but could you take it down, the book down from the shelf and let it cool off a bit? Love the show and keep up the good work. Great work. Thanks. Cheers, Brian. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, this is the book in question here. This is my copy of All Negro Comics. It's a really rare book. I mean, there are less than 50 on the census, both CBCS and CGC. So this is obviously the lowest grade possible. But when there's only so many copies out there, and the more expensive ones are in the five figures, this was worth the money to me. This
Is
is
it missing a wrap?
it is. It's missing the two inner wraps. This is
Okay.
missing the book, which is the cause of the 0.5. If it had the wraps, I'm looking at it, it would probably get a 2.25. But other than that, it's in great condition. And like I said, it's one of those books you accept the condition that you get. But for Brian's sake, I will take it off the wall for now, and I will put up my.
Okay, there you go. I thought you were going to put your proposed copy of Sugarfoot's Jones to replace it.
Don't mess with my auctions, John.
Oh, sorry about that. All right. Pretend that I did my old man rant about photo mats and going to concerts and seeing the Smiths. Pretend I did that here. Now it's time for the old fart rule. I don't know. Does that work? Does that count as a segue? I can get right, sure.
It's a
Old fart rule. We go back 40 years to 1983 for the books that shaped Richard and my lives and collections. For me, this was a book I was not able to get for years because I didn't have a direct sales outlet in our little hometown of Elyria, Ohio. So I had to wait and get it on the secondary market, it is Jack Kirby's Silver Star #1 from Pacific Comics. This was Kirby's second creator-owned title for Pacific after Captain Victory a couple years prior. Silver Star had been floating around as a proposed screenplay for Jack for years.
Wow.
He had actually meant for this to be a movie, started storyboarding it, scripting it. And the first 4 issues of the 6-issue miniseries were inked by Mike Royer, his partner on most of the stuff he did in the 70s, Cap, OMAC, Commandy, really making this one of the final collaborations between those two artists. This series is nuts. It's insane. The dialogue is unfiltered Jack Kirby craziness. It combines Jack Kirby's super heroics with some comedic elements, if you can believe it, and then like an apocalyptic ending at the end. Eric Larson apparently agreed with me that this needs to be preserved for future generations because he spearheaded a reprinting of the series in a deluxe hardback edition that I happen to have right here. That is really well done. It is got these great interleaf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like the actual scanning of the comic for the interior where you can see that grain, and it's been remastered. You get some rejected original cover art that wasn't used. It's on glossy paper. If you like 70s Kirby, it's good. You can tell the first 3 or 4 issues were started in the 70s, and then the last ones were done in the 80s when he was not quite at his full powers. But a CGC 9.8 sold last month for a whopping $58. It's not a hard find. You can grab the image hardcover for about $20 on eBay if you are so inclined. So why not? It's Kirby. There you go. Richard.
Yep.
Underrated books of the week. Go for it.
My underrated book this week is a more modern title. It is the other history of the DC universe. Here I've got a copy of it right here. This is just this graphic novel sized book, and it's kind of the classic definition of a graphic novel. It was written by John Ridley, pencils by Giuseppe.
Yeah, go for it.
Chemicoli.
Giuseppe Comicoli.
He did work on the Hellblazer series. This book has, it's a fairly modern book. This is 2019. It has real inkers, real colorists, and even letterers. So this is not a digital book, which I know I'm not dissing digital, but the fact that those art forms they're still around, I think, is great. This book takes a kind of a less than glamorous history of the DC universe. It talks about the Holy Trinity, it talks about the Justice League, but it looks at it from the other side of the mirror, from the people who are just average Joes, and how they starts off in the 1970s, and it talks about a place called Suicide
Slum.
Suicide Slum. Yes. Yes. Black Lightning is the primary character in the first book. And it talks about, there's Metropolis in the distance. They can see the gleaming Metropolis and then Superman. But Superman never made it to Suicide Slums. He never, affected the drugs and the crime and the things in that part of the city. He did so in Metropolis. And he even had he came over and was, because Black Lightning it operates on the other side of the law, kind of like how Batman was. So they highlight a story where Superman comes to Suicide Slums and confronts Black Lightning and says, "You're operating on the wrong side of the law." And Black Lightning says, "Okay, well then, as soon as you come here and help us destroy the tenements here and rebuild something better and stop the crime and fix the things that are the problems that the normal people have, not the galactic problems that are out there, then I can stop being stop being a criminal or a vigilante." And Superman looks at him and then flies away. There's really nothing you can say to that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's an interesting series. It's like I said, it looks at it from a different angle. You see all of the major characters the number of cameos in this book is absolutely staggering. But you see, Black Lightning is in here, John Stewart, the Outsiders team, Superman, Katana, the New Question. You get heroes from Earth 1 and 2 and New Earth. And it's just an interesting, if you want to look at superheroes from a non-superhero angle, it is an interesting series to read. There's 6 books in the series. It's DC's Black Label, which are always a little more grittier, a little bit hard edged from most of DC's others. And I applaud DC for doing the Black Label, because a lot of the books that I've seen in the Black Label imprint have been great, and things that you wouldn't expect DC to publish. So GPA, just like John's book, the book John just talked about, the GPA for a 9.8 was a whopping $30 for this thing. You can find raws for cover price, so it's not hard to find. Or you can even buy the trade paperback that reprints the entire thing in one book.
Or you can buy the local comic shop day variant.
Ah, yeah.
You ever see that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
There it is. I happen to have that handy
Awesome.
right here. And
Awesome.
I love the spot varnish on this.
Mm-hmm. Did you read it?
I did. I read issue 1 and I said,
It is dense. There are no word bubbles. There's just
I know.
paragraphs through the entire thing, through the entire series. So, you don't have the typical back and forth that you'd see in a comic book. Yeah, like it really is a graphic novel.
Yeah, it struck me as kind of a grittier attempt at Marvels, the
Yeah, yeah.
CF Alex Ross miniseries. But definitely I picked that up because the cover was so striking. My underrated book of the week is also a gritty street level story. It is Bugs Bunny Vacation Funnies, number 8.
That Bugs Bunny.
I mean, look at how hard life is in the country. This is significant because it is the first appearance of the Roadrunner in comics. It's from 1958. It is a very tough, super thick square bound. I think I've talked about this book before. Look at how thick this bad boy is. And it is part of my quest to get the first appearance of all the Looney Tune characters, and little Johnny, or whoever did this, did his math homework on the back cover. Thanks for that, buddy.
Look at the bright side. He didn't cut Bugs out.
Yeah, but boy, he was going to town on his math here. I'm trying to figure out what he was trying to do, but it ended up being $39.98 was whatever the total was. But Roadrunner's in here. Also, you get Henry Hawk, little Henry Hawk story. You get Pancho Villa, if anybody remembers Pancho Villa. Very slightly racist character, but there he is, Pancho Villa. But a 9.6 file copy of this sold in September of this year for $780, which to me sounds like a screaming bargain, because it is. It was down from $2,160 in 2021. The dip is real. I've been searching for a bunch of Looney Tunes first appearances, and I can tell you they're all tough. I'm still trying to find the first Speedy Gonzales. I have not found that first Yosemite Sam. There's a few of us Looney Tunes nerds that prefer those over the Disney characters, but the cost is not the issue. It is the scarcity.
I'm sure there's more than a few. I'm sure if it wasn't for people out there grabbing them, you would have found them by now.
Yeah, I think Warner's done a really bad job of preserving the legacy of these characters compared to the Disney characters. I mean, when's the last time you've seen not like a Tiny Toons or an Animaniacs spinoff? When's the last time you've seen a Looney Tunes Bugs Bunny push?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a Mel Blanc's purist, so it's tough. Once he passed, it's difficult to get those characters that have the right voice. So maybe that has something to do with it.
I'm not going to do I was going to do my Bugs, but no, I won't subject you guys to that. You were spared. Now, if we ever talk about the Muppets, I could do some killer Muppets impersonations.
Okay. We'll have to work that in.
Yeah, we had to wedge that into a show. Uh, hey, thanks everybody. Follow us Facebook and Instagram. If you're not a member, consider it. If not, we'll be here on Mondays just as normal. And thanks, and we'll catch you members on Wednesday.
Yep. Everybody, stay safe.